everybody. Hi. How are you? It's Quilt Nerd time. It's 8, a little after 8. We start the show, a little bit after the hour because people get the notifications, and sometimes notifications for live streams come out at different times, whatever. It's tech. It's amazing that you would get a notification from space that something you want to watch is on now. Like, that's pretty amazing, So, but I don't know how it works, and I don't know, sometimes you get a notification, and sometimes you have to check and see if you got one and all that. So that takes time. And then it takes a lot of work to make this show. So sometimes, I'm a little, I'm doing my best. And then I got to talk to Stephanie Cake at least a little before the show. This is my fault, not hers at all. And then also, it's come to be that the Quilt Nerd thing is like a community, So maybe in the beginning it was kind of like, man, this show's supposed to start at 8. But now it's like it's the lobby, and people hang out and chat and kind of talk to each other and stuff. So that is really, really cool. So I just wanted to say real quick, I saw a first time chat from somebody early on as I was getting stuff together. Ellerhold 7647. Welcome to Quilt Nerd. Hold on. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't do anything to the hair. Welcome to Quilt Nerd. Those welcome baskets that are in the chat that you may have seen when you said hello, those are for you. And we have such a good time here. And we've been doing this, I don't know, in August it'll be a couple years that we've just get together and talk about quilts. And this show, if you know anything about it, maybe you're just I'm gonna try this out. It's live, and we don't teach people how to make quilts on the show. We talk about quilts, talk about the culture of quilts and history and everything. And it's cool because you can interact with it. And what I really like, so I'm glad you're here, because what's very amazing, right, is that there's all these wonderful people who are attracted to this show and each other. And so all of the different connections that have been made, and I've worked with some quilt nerds at this point. I've met a number of them, and they've met each other, and it's great. And so that's wonderful. So you're part of that now, And then also a very cool thing about this medium is that it's visual, and podcasts are great. We love our podcasts. Podcasts are a great source of information and inspiration and creativity. Awesome. But what's great about a live stream show like this is that we can look at things, and steering the show, making the visuals and the broadcasting work together is, I have learned more about stuff than, it's been crazy to learn all this stuff, but we've got it down enough that we can look at stuff and listen to stuff and watch videos and talk to each other. And it works, it works, and it's really fun. So I'm glad you're here, and, if somebody else is new. Oh, by the way, you don't ever have to chat in the chat room on Quilt Nerd. We have something we call the Lurker Lounge, and we love our Lurker Lounge people. They're fantastic, and yeah, you never have to say a word. You don't have to say a peep. You can just enjoy the content. You can watch it. If you miss it live, you can watch it on YouTube. But we do love it when you say hi, even if you just say hi one time, and then you disappear to the Lurker Lounge, you mysterious lurkers. Okay, so that is cool. So welcome. And I'm seeing all the gang. I'm seeing the gang. Jen makes stuff. Robin's here, and Mother Nature, and Drink Wine Solin, and Kelly McGuire's here. Oh my God, it's great to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Amy Pabst. Molly's here. Molly. Molly, let's just go away for a weekend. How about that? With that, that would be good. Hey, Padma subscribed at tier 2. You've been subscribed for 21 months. You're on a 21-month streak. Thank you so much for subscribing to the show. Anybody who subscribes, Padma, you're an OG. You've been with the nerd crew for a while, the nerd herd, as my friend calls it. Thank you so much for subscribing. It means a lot to me. The tiers of subscriptions, they matter. They, all subscribers valued, but wow, tier 2, $9.99 a month, that's great. It helps more than to subscribe at any level. And tier 2 is amazing, Thank you. And Eva and Wordenverd Nerd, did you get a package from me, or did you get that envelope? Dee Dee Brew Crew subscribed to tier 2. You've been subscribed for 18 months. Dee Dee, You know how much I love you. I appreciate you. Jan Makes Stuff, another tier 2 subscriber. You've been subscribed for over a year at 16 months. I appreciate you so much. Oh yeah, and welcome baskets in the chat. I'm seeing those. I'm seeing so much. Okay. There's something very important we have to do before we get into the meat of the show, and that is say hello to Stephanie Cake. Stephanie Cake. Who is Stephanie Cake?
She is a lady.
She's a lady.
Who doesn't have an answer for that.
Yeah. She contains multitudes. It's true. Stephanie Cake does a lot to make this happen. And one of the things that she does is that she's on the show with me. And that's really good. How was your day?
It was pretty good. I actually got some things accomplished that have been on my list.
Great.
You know? And it always feels good.
Yeah, that's good. Excellent. And you're wearing a nice, I would say it's watermelon colored shirt.
Yeah, I guess that's probably good. And it says Quilter.
It says Quilter. Excellent. Excellent.
I have a large collection of them.
Yeah. There's new Quilt Nerd merch is going to happen soon. We'll have a T-shirt that says "Keep Quilts Weird." That's coming. Keep Quilts Weird. That's our little saying.
Oh,
right?
I need one of those.
A little mantra.
I definitely need one of those.
Yeah. Me too. So I gotta get that done and put it in the shop. So that's coming. So tonight. Oh, Eva wants to see. You'll see. Tonight's show is gonna be great. It's gonna be so great. There's a lot going on. There's Father's Day is tomorrow. And this piece of hair is really bothering me. Okay. Father's Day is tomorrow. Thank you, dads. Thank you, amazing dads. And Juneteenth is Monday. Monday is a federal holiday because it's Juneteenth. The day that celebrates the day that all African American people were released from slavery in the United States. It was all of the states. Texas was the last one to do it. Free. Okay. That's why we take Juneteenth, June 19th, and mark that occasion, right? This is a pretty big deal. So that's happening on Monday. And we don't, I don't know, these national holidays or these different things, they don't dictate the content of this show. But, yeah, I mean, Flag Day was last week, so I had like a few flags. I mean, usually it's just sort of an investigation into quilt, all things quilt related. And yeah, these occasions give us a spark of, I don't know. Yeah, I use it. I use them. I use these holidays. Why not? There's 2 shows a week. So we're going to talk about that. But we're also going to talk about Nancy Crow. We're going to talk about Nancy Crow, man. Because today I was sitting here at the office with Eric and we were having a cup of coffee and I was looking at this book for something that I'm writing and I saw a picture of a quilt by Nancy Crow and I had never seen the picture before and it stopped me in my tracks and I showed it to Eric and he was equally like moved or excited or he thought it was as cool as I did. And so I want to show you that picture and then look at a few more Nancy Crow quilts. So so let's get started, And after the cake break, so we're going to do some stuff. We're going to talk about a couple dad quilts or, at least one. And then some beautiful quilts from a book that's Stitched from the Soul, Slave Quilts from the Antebellum South. Fascinating book. We're going to do the cake break, and there's a really big announcement about the show right after the cake break. A big one. Yeah, big. And really great. So don't go anywhere, because after the cake break, I'll make that announcement about the show. So don't, hang on to your hats or your seats or whatever, wherever you're at. Okay, let me get small, and we'll get into it. So we start every show with a quilt, a different quilt behind me, right? It's called the intro quilt, and this is the intro quilt tonight. Why did I pick it? Well, hold on. Here it is. Yeah. I was looking for something that I don't reach for all the time. Like I was like, I go to I have my favorite books and I have books that I'm interested in, like looking back at, in the Quilt Nerd library. But I was like, what am I overlooking? What am I not looking at? What do I kind of pass over because it doesn't grab me as quickly as other things? Yeah, it is a real looker. Jill says, that quilt is so fantastic. I just can't stand it. You can't stand it. Oh my god. She can't stand it. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's really good. It's really great. So this quilt comes from this book. Hold on. It comes from a book called, I did tell you this one, right? Hold on one second. We have an Abe Books affiliate link, like we're Abe Books affiliates. Quilted Gardens. Did I tell you that one? No, I did not. Okay, let me put it in here. I'm so sorry. I thought I had them all. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So we're Abe Books affiliates. So Abe Books is a place where you get used books, and Amazon owns it, and Amazon owns Twitch. So Amazon owns everything, but you can get used books there, usually pretty cheap. And we're an affiliate with them. So I think a lot of people know how the affiliate stuff goes. If you click on our link, we get some money from Abe Books or Amazon. So it's true, we're Abe Books affiliates. So there's a lot of books tonight. There's a lot. Sorry, I'm like, my chair it's kind of humid in here, so it's making noises. That's what you hear if you hear that. So anyway, lots of books tonight, and this quilt comes from the book Quilted Gardens by Ricky Clark. And if you buy it through the link that Kate puts in the chat, we get a little money. Okay, let's take a look a little bit closer at this quilt. Okay, wow. This is a quilt by, Nancy Stafford Spoon Schaffner. Nancy Stafford Spoon Schaffner. It was made between 1850 and 1900, and I learned a new word when I was reading about this quilt. I'm gonna take some zoom ins. I'm gonna take some zoom outs. There's a lot of big images up on the screen tonight, so if it's a little bit, if it catches a little bit like that, it's okay. It's doing pretty well. Okay, so this is from Ricky Clark's book, Quilted Gardens, and here's what she has to say. And I'm going to zoom in some more on the incredible quilting and applique in this, and piecing in this quilt. I mean, look at the quilting in that. Like, oh my God, look at the way it follows. It's incredible. So Ricky Clark says, some North Carolina quilt makers selected a yellow background. Let's take a look at the whole thing. Selected a yellow background. Hey, catch up with me, man. Okay. Which researchers in the North Carolina Quilt Project have dubbed Alamance yellow. Alamance. Have you ever heard that? I've never heard that. Alamance yellow. After the county where they discovered the most examples. And so this quilt would be considered Alamance yellow because it was made in the county where this, where this is Alamance County. Okay. Yeah. So many of these North Carolina women had ancestors in Pennsylvania. Okay. In all other states contacted, both northern and southern, westward to the Mississippi River. Hold on, let's get one of these blocks isolated and then look at the border too. Yeah. In all other states contacted both northern and southern, westward to the Mississippi River, white was the preferred background color, except in northern New England, where few classic floral quilts were reported. This was considered a significant style. So, Ricky Clark is talking about floral quilts, in this book, Quilted Garden. And when I saw this yellow, it just knocked me out, It's really, really great. And what was kind of spooky about this one is that later there's a Nancy Crow quilt that the quilting reminded me of this. So there's kind of this, there's kind of a relationship. Sometimes that happens. It's very weird on the show, but it happens. So let's take a look at this quilt. Oh, hang on. Hey, don't do that to me. Don't you do that to me. I don't want to save that. So we'll take a look at the whole thing again. But the quilt, while I'm pulling that up, the quilt that you're looking at now is what I was maybe going to use for the intro quilt. It's called Daddy Hex. I know. Daddy Hex. And it's a mountain mist pattern from 1960. And I found it when I was looking at the International Quilt Museum's website and searching their collections. And it's a really great quilt. I'd like to zoom in on this too. Daddy Hex. The artist who made this, we don't know the name of that person. But yeah, it was a pattern by Mountain Mist, which is a batting company, made a lot of quilt patterns. This is 88 by 73. And the quilting is really amazing. But I mean, Daddy Hex, I don't know. There's surely some information about it, but I don't have any more. Stephanie, you're making an interesting face.
Well, I mean, like others, I hate this name, but I'm trying to, I'm wondering if those the round things with they almost remind me of Pennsylvania hex signs.
Oh, yeah.
That has anything to do with it. But
yes.
I don't know. Zoomed in, I like those pieces.
Yeah.
I don't like it very much zoomed out.
Yeah, right.
Maybe if it was another color, I don't know. I'm not responding to it.
Exactly.
It's intended to be responded to.
Yeah. Me neither. And I just noticed one thing. Those kind of look like glasses, like Dad's glasses. But I mean, that's just, I'm looking, up at the top. But I'm making that up. That's not, but it is such an odd shape, right?
It's just really weird to me that this is Mountain Mist. I mean.
I know. Huh. Very interesting. That hex thing though, that is absolutely a good point. I didn't notice that at all. But yeah. So that is that, and I am going to close that, and I just want to show you one more time this this quilt here that we saw. Hey. Yeah. Really beautiful, right? 1850 to 1900, and unnamed pattern. I mean, we know the person who made it. Nancy Stafford Spoon Schaffner, 74 by 88 inches, and just incredible. That those colors, that pink and that yellow. I mean, oh my God, it's a great color. It's a great quilt. Okay. So, Bridgewater and VA says, it looks kind of like a bicycle chain. Oh, yeah, that other one? Yeah, it did. But clearly not with the hex.
I thought that, too, until you zoomed in on it, and they're actually little scallops. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, that looks like bicycle chain. That's awful.
I know.
No quilts are awful.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I'm not responding to it the way it was meant to be responded to.
Right. It did not, I liked how you said it did not move me. You were like, it did not move me. I am not being moved. Yeah. Okay, I had to have a little chip. It's been a long day. I had to eat something. So I was thinking about, how these different things that are happening. And Juneteenth on Monday, I thought about what are some quilts I could show, with Juneteenth, on my mind and so forth. And I thought about one of the most wonderful quilts that I've ever seen a picture of. This quilt is really incredible. I would not be, it would not be okay for me to do a show called Quilt Nerd and if you walked away, after a couple of years of watching Quilt Nerd and you didn't see this quilt, I would have failed, and we have looked at it. We looked at it once before, a long time ago, but we're going to look at it again tonight. And this quilt is, it's been published many times, okay? And it's called, in most of the books that I've seen it published in, Log Cabin Variation. Drink Wine and So Lynn, you know this one. Yep, Jill Alex, this is totally bananas. Hey, Hero Co. It's good to see you. So it's called in these publications Log Cabin Variation. And And there's a lot we don't know about this quilt. I thought the first place I looked for it when I was thinking about it was the 20th century's best American quilt, or best American quilts, but it's not in there. But I was like, who has a picture of this in a book that I can remember? And it's American Quilts, A Democratic Art by Robert Shaw. And so you can see a picture of this quilt, and it's a very nice picture. It's a very high res picture of this quilt in that book, among others. But so what Robert Shaw says about this book, about this quilt in the book, is log cabin variation, possibly New Jersey, circa 1890. Hand pieced, hand appliqued, hand embroidered. 78 by 62 inches. It's held in a private collection. This unique quilt's 280 blocks include more than 100 small houses and many depictions of African Americans. The large central block, let's take a look at the large central block. Aha, here we are. Okay, zoom in a little bit here. The large central block, picturing a log cabin with roses growing up its side and a man with a cane, is the size of 9 of the smaller blocks. The fact that all the figures are black and that they are portrayed in a straightforward, uncaricatured manner, what does that mean? Strongly suggests that the artist was an African American depicting what she or he knew. Oh, okay. Yeah, uncaricatured, right? Like they're not a joke, which, was often the case when, people who were not in power were portrayed on quilts and any art, right? That's an interesting point. The wide variety of silk used in the quilt also suggests that the artist may have been a dressmaker. Pretty amazing. Like whatever the history of it, and I think Shaw is right. Just he's like, he's looking at the quilt, he's analyzing the quilt, and he's making these, judgments, or making these opinions. And I think they're really informed. He knows a lot about quilts, and I think he's right on. But I mean, if Dee Marie is out there, Dee Marie, I know you've looked at this quilt. Hey, Elle Riggs. Hey, girl. You sent me a quilt blog that actually was inspired by this quilt long ago. I remember, but and I have it, of course. But yeah, this is so beautiful. It's like, we have this saying, keep quilts weird, and just what we mean is like, I mean, I think it just comes down to like, you can make a quilt that has string pieced, log cabin blocks that alternate with blocks that have houses on them and blocks that have figures of people doing things, and it's like, I think that freedom and that amazement, that wonder, I mean, look, all I can say is it wasn't really present when I started quilting, because for me, just in the world that I was in, in like the Fons and Porter, like commercial world of quilting, I had no idea that quilts like this even existed. And so I liked quilts, I made them, and all that. But, it wasn't until I started seeing things like this that I was like, whoa. What are quilts actually about? What do they actually mean? And like, what do they actually, what can they teach me? And like, what can I learn about, So pretty cool. Hey, Quilted Soul. Hey, Dee Marie.
So did you say how big these blocks are, Mary? Do you think, or how big the quilt is?
Yep, that is a good question.
Asking how big the blocks might be.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so it's 78 by 62.
Oh, so they're smaller than I thought they were.
They are, yeah. Yeah.
About 5 inches, 5.5 inches.
Oh my God. Okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
15, I think they're 15 across.
15 across. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, so they're about 5.
Wow.
5 or so inches.
That's crazy. Pretty cool. Pretty cool quilt. Thought I'd bring it out. Let's see. And Bridgewater says, if you look on the diagonal, it's a person and a house. Wash, rinse, repeat. Oh yeah. Look at that. The diagonal.
Yeah, if you consider them 9 patches, where some of the patches are log cabins, then yeah, you have people in the center and then quilts in the corner, houses in the corner.
Yeah,
right?
wow.
In some cases, there's no person in the center. Well, it looks like they alternate.
They alternate,
you've got
yes.
houses on the corners, and then you've got houses on the north, south, east, west.
Oh my God, that's so great. Oh my gosh, you guys, I did not see it at all. Wow. Wow. Yep. Incredible. Amazing. So many small blocks, Lisa, right? Yeah, it's a good one. Okay, so a couple other quilts, thinking about the time of year and all that. This is a really interesting book. It's great. Stitched from the Soul, Slave Quilts from the Antebellum South, Gladys Marie Fry. So this book was published in 1990, and here's what it says on the back. This richly illustrated book offers a glimpse into the lives and creativity of African American quilters during the era of slavery. Originally published in 1989, Stitched from the Soul was the first book to examine the history of quilting in the enslaved community and to place slave-made quilts into the historical and cultural context. It remains a beautiful and moving tribute to an African American tradition. Gladys Marie Fry is Professor Emerita of Folklore and English at the University of Maryland at College Park. She's also curated more than a dozen exhibitions at institutions such as the American Folk Art Museum and the Renwick Gallery, Anacostia Museum, Smithsonian Institution. Yes, so yeah, she's
actually deceased.
Oh, is she? Really?
Yeah, she died just a few years ago. Yeah, I remember it was in the papers here, and I was like, oh, I know who Gladys Marie Fry is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was really very recently.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, she made a mark for sure. And when I was looking at that other quilt, this quilt was the first one that I saw in Gladys Marie Fry's book. As I pulled this one out, I was like, what other quilts can make sense to show tonight in particular? And this one reminded me a little bit, of the one we just looked at. This quilt is, an applique quilt by Jane Batson, Batson, a Virginia-born slave. It was made circa 1850, and it depicts elaborately costumed men and women. One of the most interesting aspects of this quilt is the use of pink fabric, rather than black, for the faces of the figures. Black images are known to have been used on 19th century quilts. We just saw one, right? But the practice appears to have been more common among white quilters. Of course, it is possible that the quilt had been originally intended for a white person, but for some reason it remained in the Batson family, for it was worked on at a later date by Jane Batson's niece. Wow. So it was in the Batson family. It was still in the Batson family. That's really interesting. I mean, look how detailed. Is that like a racket of some kind? Like a game, some kind of game racket? How would you like to play a game? Tennis in that skirt. Not fun. I love the figures. This man, like the way the boots are. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how they're I think they're all exactly the same. It's like they're cut out of a pattern.
Oh, interesting.
Like they all have, like the ladies' skirts all kind of have that bulge in the back that I think is probably supposed to be like a train.
Yep, I see it.
It's like paper dolls. I love it.
Yeah, that's true. They're all, that kind of bells out at the back. So, wait a minute though. Like this log cabin, is that a print? Yes.
I was just wondering
look,
that.
Right there, look.
Yeah, because it is very, very, it would be very tiny quilting. But Jill and I recently saw that, I would almost bet it's almost the exact same print on the back of a quilt in Pennsylvania.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's in Debbie Cooney's collection, and she called our attention to it. She did a quilt turning. She called our attention to it because it's a log cabin cheater print from
wow.
the 1800s. Yeah.
That's what I do. I invented Post-its.
That is really interesting. I wonder if people have studied cheater cloth, history and everything. Wow, it's really used to great effect. I mean, look at that border, like cut narrow like that. Damn, good call. I mean, it's like smart use of that, right? Really interesting quilt. So that's one of them that I really liked. I thought that was cool. And then this one's important to look at, you know, because this is a quilt that was, let me turn to the page here. And there's a spread of like six different quilts shown on beds. Not sure where they're photographed, but the 6 quilts that are shown on these pages are said to have been made by sewing women, quote unquote sewing women, slaves that were specially trained to do quilting. Collection of Mary Alden Carrison in South Carolina. Okay. And one of the things that Robert Shaw says in his book, he says, like their white counterparts, African Americans have always made quilts that reflect the wide range of their lives and experiences. Just as there is no single African American experience, there is no single type of African American quilt. There are Southern quilts, Northern quilts, quilts made by educated people, quilts made by uneducated people, quilts made by the well-to-do, and quilts made by the poor, quilts made by city dwellers, and quilts made by country folk. After the Civil War, freed slaves and other African Americans continued to make quilts representative of their station in society, ranging from crudely crafted, pieced quilts made from bits and pieces of worn clothing to elegant, high-style pieced and appliqué quilts made from store-bought cotton cloth. No generalities should be made about the Africanness or African Americanness of post-Civil War quilts. Despite several theories to the contrary, many of which link asymmetrical, improvised scrap quilting with similar rhythms found in woven African textiles, socioeconomic status and not ethnicity seems to be the prevailing influence on the diverse range of African American quilts. So, yeah, I mean, that's our sort of, well, that's my position, right, on this. I mean, people make quilts, period, and people make all kinds of different quilts, you know, and yeah, and it's usually a matter of like, do you have the time and the freedom, literally, to sit and take lots of tiny, tiny stitches, you know? I just think about all the white fabric, you know, and a lot of those counterpanes and those, you know, Marseille sort of style coverlets. It's like, if you've got a lot of kids to keep track of and a lot of work to do outside, I mean, a white quilt, like with little stitches, it's not going to happen. It has nothing to do with like your ethnic heritage. It has to do with the hours in the day that you have. So I think that's a pretty important thing to mention. So this quilt, yeah, in South Carolina was likely made by an enslaved woman who was sewing for the mistress of the house, right? It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Yeah, and the cross hatching is amazing. I love the leaves. I love the style of, it's almost kind of like a palm leaf or something. Yeah, okay.
That's what I was wondering. I was looking at it as you were zooming in and out. I was like, is that a palm or like palm leaves? Like, I don't know what that is, but it's cool looking.
Yeah, it's almost Hawaiian kind of.
Yeah, it's like a double medallion sort of.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I love the way this flower ends up like right in the middle on the pillows, you know? It's really cool. It lays on the bed gorgeously, like perfectly, you know? Really great. So there's one. And then there's just 2 more. This one, oh my God, this is a crib quilt, also featured in the book. Let me get over here, page 38. Yeah. Applique crib quilt, created with textiles that slaves made for their own use. Wow. So, circa 1850, the applique top is not made from fine cotton. The backing is homespun, and seeds remain in the cotton batting. Collection of Eleanor Lee, Woodstock, New York. I mean, circa 1850. I mean, this is
straight up modern art.
I'm telling you, it right? It's like modern artisans, you know, kind of like 70, you know, it just has those shapes and everything. It's really interesting. I'll just grab a little bit from Gladys Marie Fry. Subsequent research has shown slaves made 2 types of quilts: those for their personal use, made on their own time, and quilts for the big house, stitched under the supervision of the mistress. The number of surviving quilts made by slaves for their own use on their own time is astonishingly small. I don't know if it's that astonishing. I mean, it makes sense that it is small, right? I mean, how are you going to keep any of your belongings in that kind of, situation? But anyway, many factors contributed to their destruction, beginning with the increased mobility brought about by the emancipation of slaves. Interesting. With each move, the possibility of losing personal possessions, such as quilts, increased. Personal possessions often got left behind when slaves moved. Then there's some information about a specific story. Fire, theft, and sale for extra income also contributed to the disappearance of these quilts, but frequent use was perhaps the most important factor. Few options are available to people of reduced means. A bed cover, no matter how special, had to be used. Wow. Oh God, this the swoop of the shapes, incredible. Flamingo bills, yeah. Hey, Miss Elaney. The colors are so contemporary, yes. Hey, Wonky. Hey, Ivy. My Great Cats, KP Sews. Yeah, really, really something. Yes, I see what you mean. The flamingos, yeah, right here. Right? I like that. This is what I mean, like being able to see stuff. Like, we could talk about this quilt on a podcast, but like, let's look at it. Okay, and then one more from this book, Stitched from the Soul, Slave Quilts of the Antebellum South. I mean, it's so great. It looks like a lithograph or something. Is that the right? You nodded, Cake. So am I right? Lithograph, like a
yeah,
like
or
painter.
Maybe kind of really really fancy modern printing.
Yes, printing. Yeah, exactly.
Like letterpress, silk screen.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, printmaking stuff. Exactly. I mean, it's just okay. What do we know about it? I mean, it's so sorry. I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna go to the whole thing again, just real quick, so you can see. So it's pieced quilt made in a unique tulip pattern, circa 1850. God, this is a great book. This book, you should have this book. Everybody should have this book.
I have this book,
yeah.
But I guess I haven't looked at it in a long time because I remember this quilt, but I don't remember the other two. So
yeah,
it is a very good book.
This, this quilt, I recognize it too. I was like, where else is this? This is on the back of a book or something. It's on the back of another book. I don't know which one, but yeah, it's out there. But yeah, I hadn't looked at it in a while either. And I was, like these occasions, right? Like, it's a good reason to go hunting for things that you didn't see before or haven't looked at in a while. It's so great. And like, so when I read the tulip pattern, I was like, right. Like, I was like, okay. Oh, that's me needing to plug in my phone. The tulip pattern I got the sense of a tulip, but I didn't really see the tulip until I looked closely. And the tulip is this black, that's the tulip. And there are 4 to a block, kind of. But the black, that connecting that the stems would be black at all, and that the tulips would be they should be green, right? They should be green. They would be green normally, but instead they're solid black. It's so cool. It's just like, it's so cool. It's such a great quilt. Let me get the thing to plug in my phone real quick. Yeah. Wow. What are people saying in the chat, Cake?
It's taken all of us a minute to actually see the tulip.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what's so great about it. I mean, this quilt has such movement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost got like the round shapes almost.
Mm-hmm.
The way that the movement of the cross shapes of the stems, and I mean, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. It's really good. It's really successful. Like the Daddy Hex quilt we saw earlier. Like, it didn't move us. It didn't move us. But this, and art students and, slim quilt pants, if you're out there, you could probably do a critique of this that would talk about its formal qualities. Like, why is this successful, aesthetically, or why is it, and it's like, I'm not, it's color balance, it's saturation, all of the colors, the fabrics used are like of equal saturation or volume. I mean, there's like this strong black and a strong pink and a strong orange, and then somehow this like off-white muslin, which is definitely stained, definitely, and the way that it's stained, it's interesting. Like the way that it's stained, that was stained before it was used, I would say, right? Like it was a stained piece of material, right?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, because it's like stained, but the stain doesn't reach into the blocks. Fascinating. How'd they do that?
Amazing that the colors are not deteriorated. I could see there, right above your head. It looks like one of the the tulips may have some damage, but I mean, you don't usually see. Does it say what the materials are?
Sorry,
is it all cotton?
That's a good question. Hang on a second. No, it doesn't say, and it doesn't give a measurement on it. It looks like 60 by 80 or something like that. Wow. Yeah. Pretty great. So do people see the tulips? What flavor chips, Eva? My favorite. Wow. Salt and vinegar, but it's basically chip orts. It's little orts. It's like they're all cracked and just little bits. Orts isn't. My family uses this term orts because my mom and Mark.
I love that word.
It's good, right? It was like a crossword puzzle word, or a Scrabble word. And so they're like, oh yes, chip orts. I'll just eat the orts. Have some crackers. I'll just have the orts. It's a word, and that is exactly what these are. So Padma, who's re-upped her subscription. Hey, Kenny. Padma, there's an Amazon wish list, for this show, which I haven't talked about in a while, but it exists. And Padma sent me, there are chips. I think there are still chips on the Amazon wish list. And Padma sent me some. It's kind of around the holidays, maybe a little bit. I don't know. Those are gone. And it was a big box. It was like a box of 6 like bags of chips. They were delicious. I ate them all over the course of this show because it's just the thing I do. I eat the chips, I have some wine, because it's casual. It's not a lecture. We're just hanging out. And so chips. They're delicious and I eat them all the time. Okay, on the show. I try not to eat them when I'm not doing the show because, let's be honest, chips. Okay, so that is the first half of the show. I mean, we talked about the quilt. I mean, we went really fast, but it's true. It's, we do about an hour and then we take a cake break, then we come back and do the rest. So I think this is the moment, right? Stephanie, are you ready for the cake break?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I changed the thing. You have a new
Oh, okay. So Dunton isn't doing anything creepy.
Nope. Dunton is not doing anything creepy.
Poor Dr. Dunton.
Oh my God, my mom's in the chat. Hey, Mom. Everybody, Marianne Fons. I'm so glad you're here. So I gave him sparkles. I gave the whole thing sparkles cake because, yeah. I mean, sparkles. Like obviously, like we want this.
Oh yeah, I like how Dr. Dun's hair is sparkling.
Yeah. He's got some sparkles. So
he has a lifelong middle of the head part, or his hair was always parted in the middle, like any good nerd.
God bless him. Yeah. Okay, I will be right back, and get the update. Okay, I'll be right back.
So, yeah, you guys, I've been like eyeballs deep in Dunton today. It sounds gross. Nothing really new. I really just have been, and for those of you who have never done a research project like this, I think back to like the research I did in school, and it was usually sort of slapdash and last minute and all that because I really didn't care that much. But with Dunton, I really do care. So, I've been spending time, looking back through all of my notes, making sure that I have proper citations, which when you get really excited about learning something, you dash through all of the articles and the newspaper clippings and the pictures of things you took and all the things you wrote down, and then you realize, well, crud. I can't just regurgitate this back out to everybody. I have to put it into like some sort of framework. So that's what I've been doing. And it's fun to revisit this information, but it is pretty exhausting. I lost track today. I think I kind of messed around until about noon, and then I was like, all right, I got to do some work. And found footage. Oh, that's interesting. No. So Dr. Dunton died in 1966, and he stopped lecturing, I think, in the last 10 years of his life. So, that would have been in the 50s. And I don't know that I ever saw anything in the newspaper about him, having appeared on anything like radio or TV. So, Baltimore did have its own, little shows and stuff. It was a big enough city, even then they had their little local shows. But yeah, that would be really cool to find either his voice. I would love to know what Dunton's voice sounded like. I have this voice in my head that I'm assuming is Dunton, but who knows? I mean, he might be some great baritone. Actually, now that I think about it, his Glee Club information, I could probably find some information. I suspect he was a baritone. I don't know. But yeah, I fell down the Dunton hole today, and it was like 7 hours went by. I was like, holy crap. I did stop and eat some pizza rolls for lunch.
I'm laughing like I'm not here, like I could be, but I that's awesome.
Yeah, that's how we roll in the Cake household. Weekends are for eating utter garbage.
Heck yeah. And doing like awesome research, like
Yeah.
like if it's pizza rolls and like trash TV, like I feel like the great research and the pizza rolls balances out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like when you're productive with research and projects and things, you should reward yourself. You treat yourself.
Yeah.
And I like to treat myself with garbage food, like pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls.
And
I mean,
ranch.
are you talking like Totino's
Do you
pizza?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I have no. Oh my God,
I'm
those.
not talking about anything gourmet. I'm talking about straight up, like $7 a sack for like 100 Totinos.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You get like 100. It's so true.
And you guys, do you dip them in ranch?
You know what? There's people out there. There's ranch people out there. And you ranch people, you love ranch on all the things, and you love it on pizza, right? I mean, ranch and pizza. Like, I grew up around people who are into it. I'm not into it, but I respect it.
I came around to ranch as an adult. I was never a ranch person.
Interesting.
I do actually like restaurant-made ranch, but my son and I had a conversation about this the other day, and he's like, restaurant-made ranch tastes good, but it's garbage because it's always really, watery.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get it, like, really thick and creamy unless you add a bunch of stuff to it.
He's a ranch connoisseur.
Yeah. He worked in a restaurant, too, so.
Okay, he knows. Interesting. My brother-in-law, Jack, makes amazing popcorn, like homemade popcorn, and he uses like Hidden Valley Ranch, like dust on it.
Ranch powder.
Ooh, that's good. Well,
Yeah, that's a...
wait. M. Sujan just had pizza dipped in ranch. Hey, Roxanne. See? I mean, you know what? You know what we haven't done in so long? We haven't done a poll. Do I even remember how to do a poll? I think so. I'm going to do a poll. We're going to do a poll. Are you a ranch person or are you not a ranch person? And anybody who's watching on, Facebook or YouTube, we do multi-stream to those platforms, but the party is really here on Twitch. And it's like, why Twitch? Well, because we just can't be contained, okay? Keep quilts weird. Yeah, well, keep life weird. Keep your platforms weird. I mean, it's great. We don't have to deal with trolls and I don't know. It's just the way it is. So if you want to vote in the poll and if you want to subscribe to the show, which you totally should do, and if you want to really engage in the chat, like for real, come over here. Remember, Amazon owns it. Nothing is really scary, right? Because Uncle Bezos, Uncle Jeffy is in charge. Okay, so wait a minute. So I want to do a poll. Hang on. Let me just okay, yeah, here we go.
It has been so long since you've done a poll.
Listen. I don't even know when. Here we go. I got it. Poll. Create a new poll. This is going to happen. Okay? Question. Are you a ranch person? And I'm putting that in quotes. Responses. Yes. What are our options? No. Yes or no? Should it just be yes or no?
I think it needs a depends because, I'm definitely a depends person. That sounds gross too.
Me, I'm a depends person. Okay, yes, no, or very sparingly. I mean, I feel like depends. I think you have to take a side. It's like, are you a ranch person or are you not a ranch person? And I think you have to take a side. Because otherwise people they're gonna say depends. Because I would say it depends. We're going with yes or no, okay? We're just going for it. Okay, start poll. You're gonna have 5 minutes to answer this poll. It's live. It should be happening right now. Steph, you'll have to tell me if it's up. It's up there? Okay, yeah.
I voted, and I had to say no, I'm not a ranch person because I will not eat it on a salad.
Well, yes, I think
I like it on certain things, like pizza rolls.
See, I should have actually. You're right. There should be a depends. Are you a depends person? I could change it, and the third thing is, I'm a depends person. Yeah, exactly.
So they have this thing at this place near me called Chicho fries. I don't know if Chicho is like somebody that works there or if it's a thing. I don't know. They call them Chicho fries, and they're covered in. They're just regular old like garden variety French fries with 2 kinds of melted cheese, like cheese, not sauce, but like cheese, bacon bits, and ranch, and it is so good. But I would not put ranch on something else. So
Yep. This is interesting because I get it. Wait, Mom, what does my mom say? By the way, Mom, I'm so happy to see you.
Buffalo wings. Yeah.
Oh, wait, Mom.
I concur. Buffalo wings.
When does my mother eat buffalo wings? Mom, I've never seen you eat a buffalo wing in my life. Like what? Seriously, what? You've never ordered buffalo wings? This is crazy to me. My mom, God bless her, I love her. And by the way, here's the thing. This is an inside scoop. There's an email going out from Quilt Folk that's a special sale for people who have taken an online workshop from Quilt Folk in the past. If you've taken an online workshop from Quilt Folk in the past, but you haven't signed up for finishing school yet, Mike told me, I don't know if it's gone out yet, but it is going to go out where you get like a special price. You get like a special sale price. So if you took Patchwork and Pros, but you haven't signed up for finishing school, like you're going to get like a deal. And I don't know what that is, but it is coming. Okay. So anyway, Mom and I are teaching an online class for Quilt Folk. We haven't taught together for years. Mom hasn't taught on TV for years, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And you're binding a quilt, Mom, right now for the Quilt Folk Foundry. Garnet Letters, hi. She would eat wings so classy. I know. Mom, honestly. In actual buffalo. We've got a show to do, okay? Enough with this ranch business. But as soon as it's done, I will give you the thing. Newsflash, buffalo wings have never been made from buffalo. Oh, Mom. Did anyone think that they were...
Are you filling in with dad jokes? Like, is that what's happening here?
Exactly. I think Mom is trolling slightly. Hey, Myra. Myra says, I've taken all the Quilt Folk workshops and signed up for finishing school before I got the Quilt Folk email. So there. Great. Sad trombone from Roxanne. Myra, I love you. Okay, let's get back to this. This is a crack up tonight, this show. All right. So, here's the announcement. I told you there was going to be an announcement after the cake break, and there is. Oh, I got to go to this screen. Come here. Yes. So, I'm going to hide the chat for a second because it's very important. I'm going to move myself over to the side. Whee! Hello. Actually, I'll hide myself too. So, everyone, a quilt nerd. I won't out you. You can out yourself if you want. Mother Nature, Nancy Crow is coming. She is coming. There's a quilt nerd who is sort of, who's a good counsel, right? Not part of the bakery, Cake and Robin and Susanna, but someone who has contributed a lot to the show. And, anyway, this person said, when you came back from the Memorial Day weekend, and you saw your friend and you had some time off. Boy, we noticed. You were refreshed. You seemed good, Fonz. You seemed real good. And it's true. I was. And, there's a lot going on at all times. There always has been. And because I like to do lots of stuff and I get excited. And to be perfectly honest with you, my main MO is we're all gonna die. Like, you sleep when you're dead. I just feel like there's so much to do, and I like to do it. And anyway, breaks are good. Breaks are real good. So this did not come from Cake. It did not come from Robin or Susanna or me or my mother who is here. It came from somebody who is close to the show who. And she said, what if you did a schedule where you do 3 weeks on, just like normal, 1 week off every month. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And I thought to myself, I thought to myself, that is an interesting idea. And I didn't, sometimes, things for the show, like ideas for the show, I'm like, I don't know, I'll think about it, I'm not sure, like, would that work? We've tried lots of different things on the show. Like, I did a morning show for a while. We tried that. That was fun. I loved it, but it was like, okay, I don't know. Like, is that what the show needs to be? Is that what the show needs to do? We travel a lot for the show, and subscribers, when you subscribe to the show, like, you get to go to New York City for a private show of the American Folk Art Museum. You get to go to Lincoln, Nebraska. You get to go to the New England Quilt Museum. Like, all of this content is like being produced and ready for you, and you see it live and all of this stuff. So there's so much to this show. And there's so much to the show that, like, it's hard to express what goes into this thing. And Stephanie Cake, by the way, has was not present for one broadcast since you started coming on as my co-producer.
And I should mention, I was very ill.
Yeah, she was not okay. Yeah, she was like, it was not, yes. She was, yes. I don't want to say, like, she was really sick. So Stephanie Cake also, especially because she has a presentation to give at AQSG seminar, which is a big deal. She's got that coming up in September. I'm on the board of the International Quilt Museum. I've got a board meeting in July. There's all kinds of stuff, man, all the time. And so this person who suggested, I don't know if you've outed yourself yet, you don't have to, is like, what if you did 3 weeks of the show back to back to back, right? And then 1 week off. You watch the shows like, Jimmy Kimmel, or I don't know if you watch that, but I watch Seth Meyers. I love him so much. And he's like, we're off next week, we'll see you the week after. And it's like, no big deal, The writer's strike has changed that, but we don't have writers, so there's not going to be a writer's strike. But I thought it felt right, you guys. It felt right. So starting July 1st, we're going to do that. We're going to try it, just like we tried the morning show, right? Do we like that? Were people into it? And of course, some people are, and some people are like, I can't make it. So we try that out. We try some quilt nerd shorts. We're going to keep experimenting. What are you going to do? You can't keep it the same all the time. You can't. You got to try stuff. This is a living, breathing organism. This quilt nerd thing. So the first week. Oh, yeah, this is why. For mental health and progress. Because the thing is, too, there's all this other stuff to do. Like, Ivy and I are working on a video for YouTube. Like, that's cool. But, if I'm making content for the show, believe me. Listen, when the clock starts, when it's time to go live, if I don't have all of these images ready for you guys, if I don't have the text ready for you, if I haven't scanned, cropped, and, I don't want to, who cares, right? It's like, oh, we don't care. It's a lot. So if I'm doing that, I'm not working on videos for YouTube, which is a big way to get people to come to the show. So for my mental health, for Cake's mental health, and just schedule, needs and everything, and for progress on what Quilt Nerd is and what I want it to do and like what it could be, starting in July, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And the slide I didn't make is... Yeah, L. Riggs, exactly. Self-care, Jan makes stuff, exactly, right? Mishral is into the idea. I'm so happy. I've been nervous, to say anything because subscribers, you subscribed And this is new, right? So, you know, it's like, oh, well, I thought I was paying for a month of shows. Now I've got 2 less than I thought, you know. But it's better. It's better. Right? Steph, right?
Yeah, and I think also the thing to think about is, I mean, you have been missing shows because of what's been going on,
Yeah.
you know, with all the stuff with the summer,
Yeah.
spring and summer.
Right.
And I think it's easier instead of for you
Yes.
guys to sort of be like, oh, I thought there was going to be a show.
Yep.
Oh, Mary canceled it
Yep.
because of, you know, just all the stuff. It's easier to know that your energy is conserved for that 1 week to do all the other things, and
Yep.
that you guys can count on a regular show without last minute cancellations.
Yep, exactly. And what's interesting is that I mean the first so what we've got in place right now, and of course I ran this past the bakery, right? Cake and pie and biscuit before it was decided and before I would announce anything, right? Obviously. So the first week of the month is off. We're dark the first week of the month. And it works out because the first week of the month in July is the Quilt Museum board meeting. I'm going to be in Lincoln all week. Now, am I going to get content for you? Yeah. Am I going to record some stuff? Yeah. Don't worry. You know, but I'd have to, that's a lot of work. We're in board meetings all day for 4 days.
And it's also the week of July 4th, so you guys are probably not going to be here.
Precisely. There was other reasons. It was like, it's the 4th of July week. You know, that makes sense. And then in August, here's the really great news. And now I'm going to come back on camera. Whoops. But I'll leave that up. The other cool, awesome thing, exactly, Roxanne. The other cool, awesome thing is, what if I get really small? Ooh, what if I'm going to go ride on Bets. Whee! Look, I'm on Bets. I've never been on Bets before. This is great. Okay, so I'm up here. Hi. So the other thing, the good thing that works out about this first week of the month, you know, being dark, you know, you get a break too, for God's sakes. Like, people who love this show, it's like, oh, you know, I don't want to not show up. You know, I mean, look, I'm just going to say, for my part, I feel guilty sometimes when I'm not tuned into my favorite live streamers' live streams. I'm like, oh, I want to give them the view. I mean, seriously. And so I'll like turn it on, but not listen. Anyway, it's crazy. Anyway, but the other thing is, here's in August, taking the first week off of August is really great because it actually gives me time to prepare for anniversary week. Anniversary week is my birthday is August 6th, and we had our first anniversary week last year. And anniversary week is full of like extra giveaways and like extra fun things. And so that's really cool. And then the first week of September, whatever, but the first week of October, what that means is that it's the week after AQSG seminar. So after all that work, you know, Kate gets a break, I get a break. So that's what we're doing. And I think I appreciate your grace and your understanding. And I think you will see that it pays dividends on the show and on everything. We did the announcement. I said it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a positive thing, you guys, and it's a matter of like, yeah, you're gonna see some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's very time to do the stuff versus just saying we want to do the stuff and then it doesn't get done because there's not enough time. Yeah. It's just catch up all the time, right? I get started. Oh, now I'm in no man's land. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. I'll announce it again for people who aren't here. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I guess the best thing I can say is like, you'll see, you know. You'll get a fresh as a daisy Mary, and you know, yeah. So thank you. Okay, let's move on. Here we go. Nancy Crow. Enough of that. We've had a lot of talking. This is the picture that thanks, Quaqua. This is the picture that I saw today that kind of blew me away. I was looking at a book called Uncommon Threads. We've mentioned it before, not too often, but Uncommon Threads, Ohio's Art Quilt Revolution, Gail A. Pritchard. It's a great book. It's really good. It's great. So it's the history of the art quilt in Ohio. It's excellent writing, and it's really good. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes pictures. Okay, now I'm going to scoot this over here. So you can see what's going on in this picture. This is, it's great, right, Lynn? It's a picture of a quilt, which
I recognized it before I even read the caption. I was like, oh, that's a Nancy Crow quilt. Because I've seen it. It's one of my favorite ones that I've seen, and it's published a lot. So I was like, oh, yeah, it's Nancy Crow. It kind of looks like Nancy Crow. You know, if you kind of know Nancy Crow's work. And if you don't know Nancy Crow's work, you're about to. You know, we're going to talk about her. But what is going on here? It's like there's a car there. The quilt looks like it's like floating in space. Like and by the way, it's a really small picture. I don't know. So here's the book. The picture is there. I mean, it's small on the page, but I noticed the car and I was like, what the heck? So here's what it looked like to me, and I showed it to Eric. I was like, does this not look like a portal into another universe? Like just like hanging in space. Like this looks like a science fiction movie, you know? Like, oh my God, look at that. Here's what the caption says. Crosses, 1976. Nancy Crow, 96 by 96 inches. Commercial cottons and blends, machine pieced, hand quilted by a group of Ohio Amish women. Crow exhibited 3 quilts in Ohio Patchwork 76, and that was a show, Ohio Patchwork 76, including this quilt. She says, quote, "This quilt was the beginning of my being more original, and it served as the basis for my 3 liturgical quilts, Incarnation, Crucifixion, Resurrection," unquote. Crow photographed all her quilts through 1979, hanging from her garage in Athens. She wanted the garage to be included in this image so that readers would know that she could not afford a professional photographer in the early years. And it's in the collection of artisan Robert James, who started the Quilt Museum, International Quilt Museum. A photo courtesy of Nancy Crow. So I was like, Eric, check this out. And he was like, wow. And then I was like, wait a second. And I went and grabbed a picture of the quilt itself, you know, like the from a book. And there's two books, the 2 Nancy Crow books that I used for this segment, that'll be in the chat. And I mean, I don't know. They're both really good. And like, I've sort of not gone into Nancy Crow too much on the show because it's like, there's so much to say and she's been so influential. And I don't know. Her body of work is so huge. Like, oh my God. Like when one of these books was published, I think she said she'd made 300 quilts or something. And that was like 30 years ago.
She's got a ton of books. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot.
You can really learn from self-promotion from Nancy. I mean, there's Nancy Crow,
yes.
Nancy Crow, you know?
Yep, yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, like this book, it's just, like Nancy Crow. It's like Beyonce. It's a eponymous book, you know, there's no other name. So, it doesn't get much bigger than Nancy Crow. So this is really great. And there's a little bit more. Sorry to say about it. Where is my aha? Hold on. Oh, so many books. Ugh. Sorry. Hold on. Just 1 second. Okay. So she says about this crosses. This is her words. Crosses is the only other quilt I made in 1976. So by the way, this picture, 1976 is when she made crosses. And it says in the caption that through 1979, she took all pictures of her quilts on the garage. So that's 3 years, you know, of making work and doing this because she couldn't afford, you know, this photographer. So this was made in 1976, which is also important because that's the year of the bicentennial. It's when so many people started making quilts. And we've had the discussions on this show that like calling it, you know, a quilt revival is kind of like, let's revisit that, right? Because it was a revival among some people. There have been people who made quilts all through the 20th century. So some people discovered quilting, and it's amazing and great, and we're glad they did. But to call it a revival, like it was a revival of interest among some groups of people. And anyway, that's another discussion for another day. But in 1976, a lot of people were making bicentennial quilts, red, white, and blue quilts. And then you got this happening in Athens, Ohio, And she says of this, crosses is the only other quilt I made in 1976. I made 2 quilts, only 2 quilts in 76. I was fascinated by log cabin patterns. Many of you have already seen that it's a log cabin pattern. And I kept trying to do, quote unquote, something original. That's what she says. With them. I used color gradations in this quilt that became the forerunner of my interlacings quilt. So she did a whole kind of style of these. For the border, I used my own interpretation of Roman stripe. This was my first huge quilt, and I laid it out on my studio floor and stood on the table to see how it looked. I had templates for all the parts. There is no strip piecing in it. Wait, what? There's no strip piecing in it. I had templates? I had templates for all the parts.
I think it sounds like she used a template for each piece.
I think that you're right.
Doing the strips and then cutting those units. I think that's what she's saying.
I think that's what she's saying. Whoa.
I was just trying to figure out, this would have been a really good quilt for the show the other day where it was like, how is this made? Because I'm struggling to see, where each unit, goes together.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God. And okay. This whole transparency sort of effect, look at the brown, look at this. I mean, she's taken sort of this outer taupe, the outer edge of the upper left-hand corner, the outer edge, and that's the same fabric that's in the lower right-hand corner of that log cabin. But there is a split. Right? God.
Yeah, see, I don't think she pieced them as log cabins. She pieced them as these narrow strips that had, parallelograms,
You're right. You're right. Yeah, templates. She didn't do strip piecing because strip piecing wouldn't work for this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. It's pretty cool. Eric was cool. No, my mother points out, Mom, you get the nerd sound effect.
That's what I do. I invented Post-its.
That's a very good point, right? Thank you for pointing it out. No rotary cutters at the time. Molly says, my brain hurts a little after trying to figure this out. Same. Well, okay, we'll just wait, okay? So, yeah, okay, well, let's just jump ahead to Lady of Guadalupe. There was a Lady of Guadalupe series that she did. And this is one of the first. Mom, I'm so glad you're here tonight because, Nancy, I mean, she's one of the first quilters that I would have known the name of, because of quilts like this. And this quilt, I think, was featured in The Art Quilt, the famous book after the exhibition by Penny McMorris and Michael Kyle. This is not a printed fabric. This is pieced. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to go to the full thing. I just appreciate the full quilt. And actually, when I cropped this tonight, you guys, I scanned it because I wanted a really good scan. It's been published a lot, but I wanted a great scan of my own making. But when I cropped it, I didn't want to crop out the page entirely because, I want you to see the edges of it. You know what I mean? These are the contours of this quilt. So down here, I'm just going to show you, there's the page number, okay, page 165 of this book. And up here, there's the Lady of Guadalupe series, quilts, 1983 to 1986. This is the page on the very large art book from whence this came. So okay, so let's go to that page and let's talk about what this is. So Our Lady of Guadalupe. And then we're going to zoom in because I know you want that. I do too. Lady of Guadalupe number 2, made between 86 and 87. It's 64 by 80. Hand quilted by Marla Hadabau. So she made a lot of quilts that were in a series, Lady of Guadalupe. Nancy Crow says, I began the Lady of Guadalupe series for several reasons. At age 19, I lived in Mexico City and studied art at Mexico City College. While there, I became familiar with this saint and her symbolism. I was fascinated by the idea of goodness radiating out from and around the form of Our Lady. In 1985, I felt a real need to produce quilts that reflected a sense of goodness. I have made 5 quilts in this series and plan many more. I would say of the 2 books that I've drawn from tonight, I do think this is the one I would recommend, Quilts and Influences. It's really great. It's really great. Like, it's just a lot of quilts. And the other book is amazing, but it has a lot of fold out. Like, the leaves are like you can fold them out, which is, I mean, you can pull them out, which is good, or not pull them out, but unfold them. But it's kind of cumbersome, to be honest, and just the things that Nancy has to say in this book, they're really good. I recommend it. So yeah, the piecing on this is just crazy. I mean, that's all strip pieced. Like, that's not fabric, it's pieced. It's not a print. Okay. So the other thing, just a couple others. I remember seeing a picture of this. Nancy Crow started her career as a weaver, or she was studying weaving when she was young. And I remember seeing a picture of her standing next to a weaving that she did. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, you know? Like, oh, wow, that looks like a Nancy Crow quilt, you know, but it's a rug, and I really liked that. Have you seen this before? Have you seen this cake? Okay, so I feel like a long time ago, I found a picture of her with this weaving or with this rug, and I showed it on the show. I mean, I feel like I did, but it was a very long time ago, and it was a really tiny, crappy picture because I didn't have a good picture of it, but I just loved seeing that, like, she was doing weaving, you know, before she was doing quilts. I thought that was so cool. Well, guess what I found when I was looking at Nancy Crow? Oh, let's see. Oh, now.
I'm always so fascinated by people that do some other type of, you know, craft. And I mean, craft in the sense of making with your hands.
Yes.
And come to quilting. And it's interesting to hear, like, what is it about quilting that took them away from, but they wanted to supplement the other thing they were doing.
Yep, exactly. Hey, Mad Quilter subscribed at Tier 1. Tier 1, you've been subscribed for 3 months. You are not late. Mad Quilter, you are right on time, and I really, really appreciate you for subscribing for 3 months at Tier 1. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. Welcome to the show. We're talking about Nancy Crow. It's been a great show. It's crazy in the best way. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. All right. So you ready for this? Yeah, seeing what people do, like the other stuff they do, right? Okay, I found the picture that I wanted to find. And it's in this book, Nancy Crow, Quilts and Influences. So here is Nancy Crow in 1974. She is a little babe. She's a wee bairn. 1974. And she is standing with this enormous rug. And listen to the story of this.
That rug is much bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I forgot to give you the dimensions. It's 9 feet by 12 feet. But wait, there's more. It's even cooler. Okay, before moving from Cambridge, Ohio to Athens, I wove a huge 9-foot by 12-foot rag rug. Okay?
Okay,
yes.
That's why it's so nubby looking.
Yes.
When you look close, like the rose, the weft looked chunky to me, and so I was thinking that it was smaller, made with like a heavier. But if it's rags, well, that explains it.
Right? Oh God, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, I never would. I did not see that. But then when I read rag, I was like, what? Okay. Let's see. Like my limited notion of what quilts were, my idea of rag rugs was of muddied colors due to the uninspired use of leftover clothing. And if anybody, well, it doesn't, it's like, what's a rag rug? A rag rug is like the rug I have on my kitchen floor that like is just, I mean, how do you describe a rag rug? I mean, Google it and you will see, like,
Made out of rags?
made out of rags. Like, it's just really basic. And, you know, I like them. You know, they remind me of home, basically, because everybody's got them.
I mean, my impression of a rag rug is typically they're braided. Like, it's
Right.
strips of cloth that have been braided, and then they're...
Yep.
You got to go round and round and round until it's a big round circle.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, one of the nerds is making one. I think Angelina. Was it Angelina maybe? Or Raffle? One of them was making a rag rug that way.
Interesting. Interesting. Do you need a loom? Padma asked, do you need a loom for rag rugs? That's a good question. I don't know. Do you know?
I would think yes with this, right? And who
Yeah.
said, Lisa just said that she used to weave, or was it?
Oh,
weaver?
really?
Or start weaving?
Lisa.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
So
Lisa.
to me, this looks like there was a warp, and
Yes.
then these were woven through.
Yep.
Versus some other method.
Yep. And she is about to tell us. So she says, rag rugs, in her view, were not for inspiration, but for practicality. Using up scraps was more important than creating artworks, you know, for the rag rugs that she knew. So I decided I would make an inspired rag rug and knock a hole in the common perception of rag rugs. As luck would have it, the local Goodwill was selling wool skirts at 2 for 15 cents. This is 1974. Nancy Crow continues, I remember an abundance of skirts hanging from racks and piled in huge boxes. I leaned over the edge of a box and worked my way to the bottom, pulling out all the pleated skirts thinking they contained more yardage. I concentrated on finding black, red, blue, green, and white skirts. Only wool ones. When I got home with my carload, I put the skirts into piles by color and ripped out zippers, waistbands, and hems. I washed the skirts in hot water and dried them in the dryer to felt the wool, making it thicker. I also dyed some of the white skirts in various shades of yellow. Ah, yes. So okay. Yep, she wanted her golds and her yellows and things. Yeah, great. Then I cut the skirts into 1-inch strips and rolled them into balls. I dressed my old Union loom. Lisa, here's your answer. I dressed my old Union loom with linen warp, and proceeded to make the rug in 5 parts. Let's take a look at the whole thing. As I wove the parts, I let the colors work in hit or miss, quote unquote, as in typical rag rug fashion. But the big difference was my use of tapestry techniques to make diagonal lines and shapes. Wow. All the blues represent all the different blue skirts I found. The same for the reds, the blacks, the greens, and the various shades of white. After weaving the 5 different strips, each 12 feet long, I whip-stitched the strips together side by side. Okay, you all see that. John and I then rolled the rug up and took it north to his father's farm, to photograph it on the side of a huge barn there. This rug has never been used and still remains rolled up in my studio. Not too practical, after all. It weighs an absolute ton. I never thought all those skirts would weigh so heavy, and it is very thick. Isn't that the coolest? Hey, Mark. She wove, I spun wool. Listen, I mean... okay, wait. Okay, I understand. You're talking about the fair. The Tennessee State Fair. Sheep to shawl competition. You know what? I thought you were saying some sort of I knew you had said something else. Molly, my point is... I thought you were talking about your connection with Nancy Crow. Okay. And it's an amazing creation, you know, and she was a weaver before she was a quilter. I mean, she studied, textile arts. This is very interesting. Okay. A couple more Nancy Crow quilts that I couldn't resist. Actually, you know what? Since we're talking about this, let's look at this. So in the book, and I think I showed a picture of Nancy Crow's studio at one point because we were looking at studios of people. But this particular book has so many. really great pictures, like process shots of her, of her world, you know. And she probably has like a few different studios. I don't know that for sure. But I mean, when you really look at these pictures from her studio, I mean, I don't know. It's like you go to art museums and you overhear somebody say, and maybe you've even said it yourself, like, I could do that, you know, like, you know, it's whatever. And it's like Tracy Emin. She's my favorite example. And she did for a short time, she made those big quilts. We've talked about it on the show a while ago. Tracy Emin, you know, really huge tapestries. She called them tapestries. She's a British artist. She's still active. Anyway, you know, she makes these quilts with lots of words on them, and at least she did, and she makes really provocative neon signs and stuff. And it's like, well, I could do that. But Tracy Emin is a brilliant artist who's trained her whole life. I mean, her figure drawing is amazing, you know? So it's like, sometimes people see stuff and like, I look at that rug by Nancy Crow and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it's like, yes, it is amazing. No, I could not do it. But then you really look at what she did, and she's talking about, she dyed things to get the colors she wanted. She used tapestry technique. I mean, like, okay, like, I can't make that rug. I couldn't make that rug in a million years. I would have to study all the things that she studied. And then you look at these pictures of process. I mean, that's hardcore geometry. That's engineering. That is like math, and those are pattern pieces, right? You know, I mean, it's just really, really, really amazing to see this stuff. Yeah, Lisa, now I wish I had majored in fiber art instead of linguistics. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about that today. I was like, what if I had majored in history? You know, what would my life look like? Anyway, so then, yeah.
You know who Nancy Crow's work, who I see she has influenced, and
who?
I will have to ask her, because I think she's speaking at seminar, is Audrey Essery. Do you know her? Cotton Ribbon. Yeah, I happened to sit next to her at a class one time, and then started seeing her quilts, and I was like, oh, dang, girl, made me feel like just a complete loser.
She's really talented, yeah.
But
She's great.
Like a lot of that influence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the gradation, like the color gradation and stuff. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a good call. 1,000%. So in this particular, I scanned both pages and kind of left them. I cropped them a little bit, but like, cause see, there's a second page, right? Okay, so this is like Mexican wedding ring. It's how it's starting. I mean, you've seen some of the quilts already, and the color play and everything. I mean, look, that's one. This is like the junction. This is like the cornerstone of these wedding rings that are coming into view. I mean, look at this, the graph, you know? It's like there's a reason they're all so extraordinary, and maybe she works really quickly, and maybe I love how the bookshelf is like crowding the design wall. That's so perfect. It makes so much sense. You know, and there's some kind of picture that she took for inspiration. I can't tell what it is, but there it is. Yeah, the circle. Yeah, right, Eva. So this is, you know, so here this is happening. Now things get more complex, you know, more units are made. As far as I know, and of course the books would tell us, as far as I know, Nancy Crow is doing all of her own design. Maybe she has help with piecing, I don't know, but she doesn't quilt her quilts. A woman whose last name was Brill for a really long time quilted all of her quilts. She was an Amish woman, I believe. But anyway, Nancy, other people quilt her quilts, as far as I know, from what I was reading today. Okay, you ready for a little bit more? So now comes into view more. Coming into focus, I mean to say. Okay. Sorry, let me show you where I'm going here. Wow. Turning the blocks. She says, turning of the blocks of double Mexican wedding ring, number 1, into other formations just to see what might result. Right. That's a good, you know, that's good. Have you ever just, right?
That's why a nice big design wall should be like the centerpiece, you know. And if your spouse or significant other or roommates are using the walls for other things, you just tell them to take their junk down, because you need a design wall. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Listen, It's true. And you can make a design wall. I mean, Mom, I don't know if you're still there, but that picnic table felt, the picnic table tablecloth, turn it around.
Flannel back.
Yeah.
Yeah, flannel back picnic table.
It works. It totally works.
Awesome.
And by the way, like, I guess like one of the things Quilt Nerd, I mean, I don't know, one thing I hope it does is like, we talk about quilts. That's the whole point. We don't get too far afield, but like, look at that basket. Like, oh my God. Like, look at baskets. You know, Nancy Crow looks at baskets. She bought that basket. And like the hex sign maybe up there or whatever it is, you know, it's like, man, art. It's just art. That's all it is. It's all of it is, you know, the quilt on the wall and the basket, it's art, you know, it's not craft. There's no distinction. It shouldn't be that way. Oh, and by the way, in many of the photographs, this is shown. And she puts it on different places. Focus, set goals. And I said to Eric today, I was like, we need that in our life, on the fridge, in every room. Like, focus, set goals. I'm like, look, if she's doing that, if that's her main thing, of course, we don't know that she actually hews to that, but she probably does. But like, focus, set goals, like, that's really important. And it's in her studio. So, okay, well, if it works for Nancy Crow. Anyway, so this is the final sewing together of double Mexican wedding rings, number 1. Incredible. Amazing. Oh, sorry. Really, really, really amazing. Okay, so the last one I want to show you tonight is, oh yeah, this one. Actually, there's one more. I only have 2 others loaded up. This is one of them. But I'm glad I clicked on it because I remember why I wanted to show this, because the quilting on this reminds me, and the color reminds me of the opener quilt. The quilting on this is, I believe, hand quilted. I believe that it is hand quilted. Nancy Crow. Yeah, okay, hang on. 1979. Sorry, let's go to the full thing. I mean, look, that really messes with your head. That is really a mess with your head kind of thing. Oh, really? Ethan Allen Foles? I didn't see it, wonky, but... Hey, Stitch and Deb. Hey, nice. Amy Paps. Excellent. They're good. Those are really good. Jill says, hand quilting is a skill I really need to take some time to hone. Yeah, absolutely. And I've been doing some, but it's like big stitch quilting. I want to get better at have you done like kind of fine hand quilting, Cake? Have you done it?
Yeah, actually, and this is going to sound like the worst brag ever, but it took me a while to get used to big stitch quilting because I was used to trying to make really tiny stitches. And I'll find myself doing big stitch quilting and like they're getting tinier and tinier and then the needle won't go through. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's
but sometimes tiny stitching doesn't do you any favors. So,
interesting.
You know,
yeah.
I think it's a really good skill to have and to work on if you want to do really fine hand quilting, but it's not always, I don't know that it always has the same impact you think it does.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sure. I mean, part of the appeal, that's really interesting. Like the appeal of big stitch quilting is because like the stitches look like little rice grains, you know, like you can see them and you can tell that it's like not totally even the whole way through. Like it's hand done, you know, it has that. That's really interesting. Really, really beautiful, fine hand quilting. Like, was it done by a machine? Was it done by hand? You know, you could argue that. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I think you can find a happy balance between like, what do the ladies call it? The toenail catchers? I think that's
yes.
My mom's guilds always said, "Oh, that's a terrible one. It's a toenail catcher." And I'm like, you know what? That might be the best they could do. You be quiet.
Exactly. You know, that's how they were taught. Maybe they don't even know that like that'll catch your toenail, that stitch, if it's that loose.
But I think that there's a good like spot there in the middle between 16 stitches an inch.
Yes.
And
agreed. Totally agreed. So this quilt, this was Rachel's quilt. It's called Rachel's Quilt, 1979, 74 by 74, hand quilted by Velma Brill. I mentioned there was this woman, Brill, who did so much of her quilting. So this is hand quilted by Velma Brill, a woman who lived in an Amish community, was an Amish person. I mean, what is the chat happening? I will post. Okay, good. Mark's going to post something in the Disco. If you're new and people are talking about the Disco, they're talking about the Discord server that we have for Quilt Nerd. And when you subscribe to Quilt Nerd, you get to like hang out in the Discord server, which really, it's just like, it's the meeting place when the show's not on. Even while the show is on, perhaps. Anyway, it's really fun, and it's where the community really, really comes together, right? And friends are made and all that. And announcements are made too, like about the show, and like, anyway, you should subscribe to Quilt Nerd. It's a very good thing to do. So anyway, I just want to say, I want to show you. Hold on. I want to do this. Look, you know what I mean? Like this line, very tight line. Quilted. You know what I mean? Like when I saw the Nancy Crow, and I was talking about the intro quilt, I was like, look, there is a relationship here. There's a relationship. I felt this way. This. Our brains find patterns. It's not like, yeah, it's just the way it goes. So anyway, I liked that a lot. The last one here, the full use, this is a full page from the book. I love a tab. There's my tab. I love this because she put the inspiration photo. This is a papaver? Yeah, Oriental Poppy, papaver. Okay. So that's the inspiration. And, and this is the quilt. I think showing the whole page is best. I mean, like, oh yeah. Like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So that quilt is called For Papaver Against an Azure Sky. Nancy Crow, 1977, hand quilted by Velma Brill, collection of the Massillon Museum of Fine Arts in Massillon, Ohio, or Massillon. Yeah, right? You can see it.
So, yes, I can. And
yeah.
So is this saying that this is where she started strip piecing?
Oh, let's see. When I began thinking.
Am I misunderstanding what?
I think that, yeah. So she says, when I began thinking about making this quilt, I had come to realize that strip piecing was a viable technique and that it could be used anywhere in a quilt. I was incredibly excited. I strip pieced every part of For Papaver except the border, which I marked to mimic poppy leaves and buds. Wow. The quilt is based on experimentation with oriental poppies, which I grew from seed and then photographed at every stage. Okay. So yeah, that other one was made with a template. But here she strip pieced. Look at that quilting. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Wow. Hey, kitty. I mean, yep. Warm and cool. Absolutely. Yes. Warm and cool. Yeah. You're right, Kitty. Her colors are always so cool. They are. They're, yeah, like she's like, I've heard somebody say, like, less isn't more, it's just less. I think that was like Kelly Ashton. She was this interior decorator or something. But yeah, less isn't more, it's just less. Or more is better, and I feel like Nancy Crow's colors are just like, she's just like, we're not doing... we're not going halfway on this. We're going all in with saturation. But she does do pastel work as well, which is so great. But yeah, I really saw the papaver.
I think Nancy does whatever the heck Nancy wants to do.
She does.
She does it very well.
Yes, she does. And I you know what? I've heard this. Has anybody ever taken a class from her? But I've heard she's my mom. Did my mom say that?
Yeah, she said she took a class from her.
Really?
I think she said 81. Yeah.
People hadn't figured out how to do decent machine quilting when Nancy was making these works. Joyce, hi. Stitch and Deb, hi. Mom, I didn't know that. Eva's like, your mom. I didn't know. What was she like,
yeah,
Mom?
She said, and I don't know if I still have I might have scrolled by too fast. But
Okay.
I think she said it was either Houston or Quilt National, one of the big things, and she said that it was something about so you want to take your quilting seriously or something like that, Marianne. I'm probably saying this wrong.
Oh, the class I took was not a sewing class, but a philosophical class. Interesting. Huh. Interesting. Well, Mom, I'm really glad you're here. It had to do with how important quilting was to each person. I feel like wonky. Mom said it was amazing. It was like a roundtable discussion. She talked about her passion as an artist. Mom, did you enjoy it? I mean, did you come away thinking, I am so glad that I did that? I mean, it sounds amazing, but like, because you said also Ricky Timms. Ricky Timms is doing classes where he doesn't, and Mom, you told me this. Mom had an epiphany in Nancy Crow's class. Wow. But that, like, one of Ricky Timms' classes that he's doing at Iowa, Winterset for the Quilt Museum, is talking. Like, it's not a workshop. Like, he's talking about his process, which kind of sounds like a lecture, but you said it was kind of not, right? Like, it was like he's talking about his process and how he designs quilts and giving you, instruction on how to do things, but you're not, it's not hands-on. So I thought that was very interesting. Huh. Yeah, and what was your epiphany? Interesting. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I am going to do this. I'm going to put up this weaving, and we can enjoy that. And now we're gonna close out. We're gonna close out. It's time to go. It's Saturday night, and Amy Pabst is saying, can we have a version of How Serious is Quilting on a Quilt Nerd episode? I love that. Oh, the chat hasn't been up. Sorry, everybody. There was a reason we didn't have it up there, but it's time. How serious is quilting? That's interesting. Amy, tell me more. The answer is yes. And let's do it. How serious is quilting? What does that question mean? Like, yeah. Like, what do you think?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. Like, what does that mean to you?
Yes,
Right?
that's it. Yes, I'm writing it on my show notes. How serious is quilting? That's great. Yeah. Maybe it needs no commentary at all. I mean, in terms of like, what does it mean? That's the question. How serious is quilting? Wow. Amy.
Yeah, that's
Pabst.
what your mom said. That seminar was called "How Serious Are You About Quilting?"
Oh,
that
I
was the Nancy Crow.
see.
Yeah, so we did our own version of it.
I love that. How serious is quilting? Amy Pabst. And the date is on the worksheet. Oh, God. I played school with my sister. Okay. How serious is quilting? I love it. We're going to do it. Make a Google form for people to fill out. Not a bad idea. Very interesting. Eva says, I wonder if you would do that episode with guests so people can come and answer it. So Jill and her guy, Sundi, they are both, we have been engaged with each other in getting some time on the calendar to go over the tech, right? And we had a date, but then I took a day off. And then we had a date, but then there was a conflict on Sundi's side. And then I couldn't do anyway. So it's that. But guests are important, especially for a show like that. How serious are you about quilting, or how serious is quilting in general? However you would approach that question. I love that. I love that idea. It's a good idea. So, Mom, I love that you were here. Yeah, Mad Quilter loves the sound of that topic. Same. For everybody who came tonight to the show, catching it on the replay, the Lurker Lounge, the people who come every week. I mean, you're just the best. I really appreciate you, and thank you so much for receiving the. Of course, maybe some people didn't receive the news very well, but I think in general, the vibe is that the new schedule, which is the first week of every month, the Quilt Nerd is off. Like, it's a break, and then the rest of the month we do our regular 2 shows a week. Sometimes, who knows, there might be extra stuff, but it's I mean, this show is like my joy. Like, it's like my heart. It's like my life has changed completely since like Quilt Nerd started. And I think to make the best of it, like that, this is a smart thing. And it wasn't even my idea, it was somebody else's idea. So that's cool. And so thank you, person, for suggesting that. And I think it's great. And we're going to try it. And thank you to Cake and Robin and Susanna for like thinking through, you know, critically and just being like, okay, like what is it, you know, how would that be like? And, you know, yeah. So starting in July, the first week of the month, the Quilt Nerd, the shop is closed. And then the rest of the month we do our normal Tuesday, Saturday night thing. And I really appreciate you all. The sewing lounge. God, Kay, I need to, Kay, exclamation point. Dee Dee. Okay. Yeah, thanks everybody.
Also,
Yes.
I would mention that on weeks when Mary isn't out of town,
Yeah.
on the off week,
Yeah.
you guys might see her pop up. It's never a promise.
That's true.
But
That is true.
You know how she sometimes is feeling it.
Yeah, it's true. You know what? You're absolutely right. It is really is true. And like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's so many things. I don't want to say anything because I want to under promise and over deliver. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Okay. Good night, everybody. Mom, I love you so much. And bonus streams are allowed, Kenny. Oh, yeah. Eva says you could air repeats of past streams those weeks so your channel's not dead. You know, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you can do the replays. Yep.
Okay, that's a great idea. Molly, I love you so much. Okay, movie nights. Oh, yeah, movie nights are fun. Somebody else said that. Need to take a break. Okay. See, I don't want to leave, so that's the problem. So I'm going to say goodnight. Cake, thank you so much. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you. We'll see you on Tuesday. Yeah, see? We're always here. Okay, bye.